maybe chatting with some gods. You know how it is. Okay, we can just take things here. Good. Luminescent Adra Shard. Interesting. Quest item. Shout it. That's how we get down. This is books. 10 Years of Dawn. Correspondences. Enigmatic God of Cold. Rimgrad. Okay. Idren. Yeah, interesting. And 10 Years of Dawn. It's about Aothas. And so these are all books about gods, right? Jonas, he becomes Kane's effigy. Yep. Hand Missives of the Hand of a Cult. Is Whale. And Bharath. And then these are about the queen that was, Woodica. Midwife's Memoirs is the Queen of Birds, Helia. Excerpts from the Sermon of Struggle is for whom? Magran, of course. And then Focus and Efficiency is Abaddon. I like how that one you can see is like really way more organized, and the Book of the Hunt is Galawain. Okay. Now, we go to the center here. What do we see? Cutscene.
A brothel for the aged.
Rude, isn't he? Magran, Helia, Bharath, Kane, Andra. What's that, sure? This is Piercing Whale near... Yeah. Piercing Sun near Whale Shrine. This one? In the nearby constellation, you make out the shape of a strange horned beast. From time to time, you think you sense a faint chill emanating from the shrine itself. Traitor Rumogrand. You kneel before the shrine and prepare to cite the ritual words. Okay, so that gets tricky. Rumogrand, right? So if I were to look in the books I just picked up, Rumogrand, we want to actually know what the words we should speak are, right? So these are not quest items. These are junk items, right? Item type. That should allow us to do that. So, Book of the Hunt is not Rumogrand. You are a prestigious gentleman, don't care. 10 Years of Dawn, no. Crucible Knight. Hadred Glanfathan. Enigmatic God of Cold. Bharath and Rumogrand are seemingly overlapped. Rumogrand is cold, destructive act of death itself. Need only show the series of it, the Auroch skulls, symbol of death. He embodies not just death, but all manifestations of collapse, be they famine, plague, or simple bad luck. Is a primal god, beast of winter. It stirs. Okay, master of death. Also, let's just dump a few things in our inventory. Pray to Rumogrand. Okay, there is life in death and death in life. All life ends in stillness. Alright, did we save? We should save. We should definitely save. If there's nothing, like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. So I'm going to go with all life ends in stillness. You feel a sudden gust of cold air, as if the shrine were bursting into wintry life. The frigid wind cuts through you like a sharpened blade, and a darkness encroaches upon the edges of your sight. You kneel and close your eyes. As you pray, the blackness fades to white, and a howling wind fills your ears. The vision that slowly resolves itself is as of a broad, frozen plain. You see a procession of elves in the distance, periodically fading into and emerging from the whiteness. They trudge over the snowbanks, their heads down against the driving winds. I know this place. This is the white that wins. As they trek past you, one man, bundled in furs, turns his head. You're headed for Noonfrost, and the frost-hewn breach, too. Before you can answer, he's lumbered ahead. You follow the caravan. In a couple of minutes you come to a wall of ice. It disappears into the pale emptiness overhead and stretches as far as you can see in either direction. The elves stop in front of a mirror-smooth section that's framed like a temple door. It seems like somehow thinner than the rest of the wall. You can't see what's on the other side, but a debilitating cold emanates from within. The elves pull pickaxes and shovels from the sealskin packs and begin hacking at the smooth ice. Their implements flying through the air in swift shining arcs. As though they throw their bodies into the labour, not one of them so much as scratches the polished ice. Yet with each blow something bellows in the distance. Whatever that is, it's huge and angry, and it's coming our way. Forget about the elves. We need to be ready to move or fight. The elves hack away, seemingly oblivious to the furious lowing and the tremors underneath your feet. The snow has risen to your knees. Your legs feel frozen in the drifts. Wait. You watch as the elves continue to work at the ice. They pay no heed to the rumbling roar or the numbing wind. Their movements, however, gradually slow. They labour at the ice with arduously sluggish movements until they finally freeze in place, some mid-swing, others preparing for the next blow. You touch the elf nearest to you. He crumbles into a mound of snow. A final gale blows past, scattering the remains of elves in a chaotic flurry. You notice a single spiderweb crack in the smooth barrier. It's the only thing that mars the perfect surface of the ice. Whatever's on the other side of the strange doorway, you feel it tugging at you. Only when you look back and see the parallel gashes trailing behind your legs in the snow do you realize how strong its pull is.
My end comes to all things in time. Seal the frost-hewn breach and instruct the pilgrims in the patience of Remergond.
Okay. So, plug the hole with a handful of snow or with our finger? Let's go with the handful of snow. You fill your hand with snow and shove it into the crack. It hardens instantly, and the hoary rime grows over the smooth surface of the frozen doorway, fusing it with the rest of the wall. When you take your hand away, a perfect crystal of ice remains in your palm. As you examine the crystal, the vision around you fades, but the unmelting shard of ice remains in your hand. And divine favor. Yep. The task completed in the vision. Okay, a new quest into the White Void. So, locals must know something about this place of worship. So, who else? This one, and this one, and this one.
Leave it to me.
Let's see. Gonna save. Always saving. Pray to the breath. Pray to Bharath. Bharath is about there is life in death and death in life. There's a rippling shift in the air around you, as if some unfelt wind has changed, bringing unexpected warmth. You feel the peculiar weight of an unseen presence and of eyes upon you. You kneel and pray to Bharath. Even while your eyes are closed, you see a road that seems to stretch on forever. The stars wheel overhead in a clockwork rotation of constellations, disappearing over the horizon to your left, only to rise on your right. You try to make out the details on either side of the road, but your eyes can't seem to focus. One moment you think you see a meadow blanketed with mist. And another sheer canyon walls. For just an instant, you even see waves lapping at the edges of the road. Were you to step into the shifting landscape, you'd feel certain you would only end up back on the road. You know this is a vision, but the packed dirt feels firm beneath your feet, and the night air cool on your face. You're walking. Your feet seem to carry you forward of their own accord. Something looms ahead of you. As you get closer, you see two stone figures that look strangely familiar. Boonin Anku, Banku Boonin, one of the the oldest representations of Bharath. You remember the door to Cleoban Rilag and the two figures carved into the mountain next to it. One looks vaguely male, the other vaguely female. Only a thin layer of flesh covers their skeletal bodies, which twists to face the doorway between them. The doorway, however, is not what you saw in the ruins. It's a skull, gaping and jawless. As you look on, its open mouth seems to grow. The arms of the two stone sculptures are swept towards the mound, inviting you in. Enter the skull's mouth. The road continues through the moor to another shifting landscape surrounded by stars. As you pass through it, you see an identical doorway in the distance. A dwarven man stands near it, unmoving. You turn and look behind you, only to see the skull gate you just passed facing you. An elven woman lies in the road. Like the dwarf, she stands still. Approach her. You start toward her. There's something unnatural about the way she stands. She's too still. When you get closer, you see her legs taper into a slender trunk, and in place of her feet are gnarled, twisting roots. She lifts her face to an invisible sun. Her long, golden hair is the color of autumn leaves, and as you look more closely, you realize that her head is actually covered with tendrils and vines sprouting brilliant yellow leaves. Each glimmers with the essence of an entire soul. She gives you a beatific smile. As you look on, the leaves slowly fall from her head and settle at her roots. They melt into the path beneath her, and almost immediately new leaves sprout in place of the old. She reaches out toward you, still smiling, as roots spring from her fingertips, her hands outstretched by the path. Come, graft your soul to the golden grove. Take her hand. Her roots twine around your fingers. As they do, they grow rigid and cold. Her outstretched arm petrifies, and as a rough stone bark overtakes her flesh, she can only look on in horror. You break away from her brittle grasp. Her feet are rooted in place. But she twists and writhes as if trying to flee her own dying limb. The petrification reaches her shoulder and spreads down her body, freezing it in a painful arc. It creeps up her neck, and she throws her face skyward like a drowning swimmer. The grayness covers her face, freezing her gasp in stone. Now that she is lifeless, you can continue past her. Only the golden leaves on her head remain untouched. As you watch, they fall one by one to the path below. They shrivel as shimmering essence fades from them, and you lift your gaze and see the dwarven man standing further down the road. Approach the dwarven man. You continue down the road toward him. He looks up as you approach, but you can't tell if he's looking at you or through you. His face is smooth but flaccid, as if the flesh is detached from the muscles underneath. As you look on, his face begins to change. Wrinkles crack at the corners of his eyes. His mouth sinks, carrying deep lines from his nose to the corners of his lips. His jowls sag, and the loose flesh hangs like dough. He raises his cupped hands. They're covered in blood, and lifts them to his face and smears himself from his newly creased forehead to the wattles of his neck. As he massages the dark, sticky fluid into his skin, fresh wrinkles disappear. The hanging folds recede, and his flesh tightens as if re-adhering to his skull. He lifts, and this time you know he's looking at you, his face renewed like a mask, artificially smooth and still. Behind it, his black eyes are two hungry pits, yawning like the empty mouths of skulls. Come, make your sacrifice to the Ethic Knoll. Take his hand. You grab his hand, but his skin gives away too easily under your grasp. As you try to pull away, you hear a noise like dried canvas tearing. His skin splits, following a long seam that begins at his arm and stretches the length of his body. Blood gushes forth in such quantities that you can't imagine there was ever anything else in him. Sure enough, as the dwarf empties of blood, he collapses like a desiccated husk. The blood in the path gleams with 1,000 souls worth of essence. The essence evaporates, trailing shining filaments into the night sky. The blood pools around your feet, and a voice echoes along the road. Return them to the wheel. You look up and see the skull ahead of you. The candles of Tir Evron wink through the open mouth. So, basically, kill the leader of the Golden Grove and the Blood Sands. Whew. That's pretty terrible. Interesting, but terrible. And we got our taxes again. Don't really care about most of these, but hey, can we we can't upgrade anything. We could change our guards potentially. That's about it, right? Yeah, who cares? Okay, so. Got two more. What does this show? Nothing happens when you approach Whitaker's shrine. Gotcha. So what are you? Pray to Helia. Alrighty. So. Some to Whitaker is not what we need. Also, I'll just dump some of these where I've inadvertently grabbed them. Okay. Helia. This is exactly where I needed to go. Helia, Helia, Helia. Book of Verses, Saints War, Saints Overthrow. Moons of Aora, many faces of Bharath. Pandagram, Western Stag, Fangs. Nope. Idran is Andra, gotcha. Missives of the Hand of the Occult, don't care. Galvan rigged. Final thing of... Yeah, you're not Helia. Jonas is Kane, nope. Summoner's Struggle is Magran. Elementary Galampathan, Edrung Hadrat. Crucible Knights. Focus and Efficiency is not Helia, that's Abaddon. This is not what we're after. Book of the Hunt. Is that? No, that's Gallowayne. Barathian Scripture, we've already been through. Adiran Dialects, 10 Years of Dawn? No. Then what are we after? Yeah, this is definitely... What? Who and what is Helia? Come on. Gotta have something on her. Those lost in flood? No. Helia. Surely we know something about that. Where's the real temple of Helia? Bird Queen stands on ceremony. Sky Mother. Charged to live every note of life's song. Alright, let's give that a go. Pray to Helia. That's Kane, Singer of the Ocean Sorrow. All things can be reforged. It's Abaddon. Struggle, no. Live every note of life's song. There we go. Your words seem to ring in the air, and your voice rendered melodic and lilting by some unseen art. You shut your eyes to pray. As you wait in darkness, the world around you changes. You feel sunlight, bright and warm on your face. A light breeze carries music to your ears. As vivid as these sensations feel, you somehow know they are not real. You look around and find yourself standing on an open-air temple built on a mountain summit. It's filled with elves, Olans, and assorted other kith. Ringing the entire scene is a fringe of trees, their verdant branches filled with birds of all different colours, shapes, and sizes. Am I supposed to feel at home here? Really? Everyone is singularly absorbed in a particular pursuit. An Orlan sits with a canvas, a paintbrush in his hand, and jars of green, blue, and yellow pigments at his feet. An elf and an Almur standing to the side are locked in conversation, their expressions dancing with delight. Still others scribble stanzas of poetry or crude skeletons on the sheafs of paper, losing themselves in the delicate minutiae of lines and syllables. You feel the breeze again, and two elves basking in the sunlight shiver. The largest group gathers in the middle of the temple. They sing a lush, chaotic harmony composed of several complementary melodies. Others drift toward the singers in ones and twos as if buffeted by a gust of wind or phrase of a song. A ripple passes through the trees. You think it's the wind, but the chirping changes to screeching. Hundreds of birds take to the skies, all headed in one direction, away. This is bad. Something has them spooked, but they won't tell me what. Then again, I think I mispronounced my birdsong and probably called them incontinent. The devotees glance at the trees, just barely distracted from their activities, but the wind picks up, scattering their pages of poetry and art, ripping the songs from their lips. They look skyward, and you follow their gaze. A dark shape blots out the sun. You can't tell what it is, but it unfolds and expands and seems to fill the sky. The wind roars over the summit. Seldom a good sign. Before you can flee, a shadow falls over the temple. It begins as a stain in the corner and spreads, blotting out the flagstones. It reaches the nearest kith, a black-furred Orlan. The darkness swallows her, leaving only a puff of smoke in her place. The two elves you saw earlier, a man and a woman, flee. You seem to get a brief image of them huddled in the shadow of the mountain. They seem to see you too and reach out, calling silently after you. The others seem frozen. As your shadow advances, they likewise vanish, one by one. The driving gale scatters their ashes and charred remains of their creations. You look up again at the source of the shadow, but the eclipsed sun forms a blinding corona around the thing. You can't make out any details. You can, however, feel heat. Restore my temple. You look down and find yourself standing next to Helia's shrine in Ter Evron. Your pulse still races. Your skin is damp with sweat from your strange encounter. Right, so no, this is definitely telling me there's a few quests left to do, right? Okay. So yeah, we've got a bunch of these things. And we can potentially talk to locals about them. But pretty sure we need to kill 2 people there. We need to, clear a temple, fix it up. We need to do something about that. Not sure about that one at all. And, one last one. Pray to Galawain. We do have a thing about Galawain. I remember that. I just need to remember what it said. So, Gally. Your hunt, right? The hunt. Jeez. Gotta hunt through these. Great Western Stag. No, that's Aothis. Don't care. That's not it. Monsters Deadfire. Cults of that hand. No, that's Whale. Galvin. Final Journey of... No, that's Kane. Nope. Could have sworn it was up here. That's Abaddon. Here's the Book of the Hunt. Okay, does one ask the deer to present themselves? No, you've got to outwit and outmaneuver and overpower the deer if one dreams of venison. So it is with the Seeker God. Survival begins with strength from within. Totally going to be that. And then, point in fact, central tenet, perseverance and cleverness rather than brute force. And when one of them is old and near death, you're going to need to try and find the Herald. Cool. Save anyway. Galawain, pray. So, hunt begins... No, that's gain. Life, struggle is in our fundamental nature. Survival begins with strength from within. Was that it? What is the answer without question? Here you are. Survival begins with the strength from within. Yep, definitely. Okay, famous shrines of wet earth. As you kneel in front of the shrine, you feel yourself pushed forward. You catch yourself on your hands and knees, feeling warm, damp ground beneath them. Looking around, you find yourself crouched in a clearing in the middle of the woods. The smell of dirt hangs heavy in the air. Behind you is a darkened room filled with candlelit shrines. Ahead of you, the howl of some kind of hound. You feel certain this is a vision, but the hairs on the nape of your neck still rise.
The scent of sweat, fur, loam, leaves, the discordant howls. I believe Galawain's herald approaches.
Howl back. The beast bays in response. Its voice is high and clear. The thick undergrowth shivers with the movement, and heavy paws pound the wet grass. You're not certain the creature is hunting or leading, but you instinctively give chase. As you tumble through dew-speckled bushes and clawing brambles, each stride feels longer than the last. You draw lungfuls of crisp, clean air and feel your energy renewed. The rhythm of your stride, the thumping of the beast's paws, drive the blood thrumming into your ears. You speed ahead, following the hound's cries, when a spit-finger pine crashes to the ground in front of you. A massive bear lunges into the gap and roars. It catches sight of you. You turn and race in the opposite direction, leaping over the fallen tree trunk. Pine cones crunch underfoot. The bear lumbers after you. Its hot breath washes over the back of your neck, filling your nose with the rank odor of slaughter. You see a clearing just past a thicket of leaves and sprint toward it. As you break through the foliage, you see a massive lioness curled up in the clearing in front of you. With the last burst of energy, you divert your momentum and hurl yourself into the bushes. Any second now, you expect to feel the bear fall upon you, but a furious roar on the other side of the clearing draws your attention. The bear has stopped at the tree line. It swipes at the empty air with claws large enough to rend armor, but it does not advance. The lioness, for her part, twists her body into a tight coil. She growls, her ears pressed against her head, but she makes no move to attack the intruder. At this point, I've hunted all over the world. I've never seen predators like these. You back deeper into the foliage, keeping your eyes on the two mighty predators. As you crawl backward, the heel of your hand brushes something furred. A warm sigh grazes your cheek. You freeze in place, turning your head to see what awaits you. Two amber eyes shine in the darkness.
Holy Hound himself! It's not just his herald! It's the Lord of the Hunt! Here!
The Orlan drops to one knee as his hands dart about his pockets and snatch the rusted hound's head icon buried within. The eyes meet your gaze briefly, then turn to the standoff in the clearing. The hound behind you yawns, fangs flashing. When you turn back, the lion and the bear have disappeared. In their place is a stone wolf's maw, gaping wide, enough to swallow you whole. Beyond is the outline of a temple, towering but indistinct. Blood must feed the maw, watcher. See that a true champion reigns. Old queen and the new king. Huh. Looks like a temple district. Interesting.
Just say the word.
Alright, so I think we got all the things that we can do here, because there's only 4 shrines we can interact with. And yep, that was a pretty cool place with a bunch of interesting bits and pieces, so I like it. As far as these things go, it's pretty cool. Alrighty.
Not a problem.
Where to, what to? Golden Grove. We can leave Golden Grove. We can go that way to Old Song. I think we do want to go to Old Song. See what we got. But our awakening being permanent. Yeah. Okay. So that is totally the wolf of which it was talking. Okay. What do we have around here? There's a protector. Doesn't matter if we grab things there. So this is the wolf. This is the Galawain's Maw. What? Oh. Hello? That is the thing I wanted to actually see. Let's reload. Awkward. Kinda wish that the game wouldn't do that. Like, if it would bring the camera back and pause when that happened.
Can do.
Oh, we'll grab this. Thank you very much. Oh, hey.
If those
You want us to
are
chat?
right, you and I are stuck with our awakenings. Not quite the news I was hoping for.
Let's go with it distresses
You
me
mean
too.
the knowledge that your mind is an unraveling thread and the man holding the other end is a millennia-old priest? Your concern is understandable. And while I hate to turn the subject back to myself, this all has me thinking about Isilmir. I'm stuck with her now.
You've been awakened for decades now. Did you really think anything would change that?
Not, but hope is an unchaste mistress.
And on the bright side, I've got plenty of time to figure out how to deal with her. Like it or not, she's part of you, and she could be a source of strength if you learn to work with her.
It's strange. I've lived with her most of my life, and I've always seen her as an adversary. It should have occurred to me the day she stood up to my father. But there's something about being too close to a situation to see it clearly. It will be a relief to stop fighting her.
Even as he says it, something struggles within him. The muscles in his face twitch and his skin quivers. His eyes roll back into the back of his skull, exposing slivers of white. Sweat beads and glistens on his forehead. After several seconds, he sighs and looks back to you. That wasn't as difficult as I expected. I think deep down I'd always hoped to find a solution elsewhere. When I was a child, I always thought my mother would come home with a mysterious cure, or my father, without knowing it, could somehow send her away just as he'd called her forth. I can't pretend I didn't spend years of my arcane training hoping that one of my instructors would have the answer somewhere in his grimoire. When I joined the Leaden Key, I believed that with enough loyal service, I'd gain the ear of someone in the organization who could help me. But even when I met you and realized your unique talents, I hoped you might be able to reach into my soul, where I'd seen you do so with many others. I'd been looking for someone else to solve my problem, and now I realize I've got to face it on my own. I've been with you the whole way. I still am.
That means a great deal to me. Truly, that reminds me of something else the Delamgon said. About the gods not being real.
Yeah, I don't quite know what they meant.
I can't help but worry at the state we'd be in if that was somehow true. If there were no power guiding us in this life and shepherding us to the next.
Then Isamir would just be a happy accident. You'd have no one to blame her for.
Yes, that would take the fun out of it.
Well, while we're stuck, we should discuss something else. So you made peace with her? What's it like? Relaxing, more than I expected. As contentious as she was, I imagined letting her in would be would merely unleash the torrent, but now I'm not fighting her. It seems she isn't fighting me, and you were right. I found much to learn from her. And any thoughts on what we should do next? No. Nothing useful. Alright,
Just
here
say
we
the
go.
word.
Well, that's a happy look, isn't it? Okay. That's a pretty cool design, isn't it? I like it. Okay, who are you? Urwa?
Estremor.
What stands before me? I did not see Estremoran often, and believe me, I see many things. Perhaps you want to see them too, yes? Let me see what you got. Yep, drugs, and yep, don't care. None of these are useful. Well, none of these are things I care about. They could be useful. I'm gonna go with they're not useful to me.
I'll take a look.
Here and now. Much like all of the crafting is not actually that useful to me. I'm also going to guess that it would be rude to just randomly attack animals in the city. Fun, but rude. Okay. Let's check what's over here. Pale elves. Interesting. I wonder if that's related to the cold quest. So there's nothing up there. Let's just turn fast mode back on. Thank you very much. Who the heck are you, Dylan?
Many blessings, traveler.
I am known as Dilem, chanter of Old Song. I trust you enjoying the beauty of this sacred place. Are you the resident entertainer? I sing to entertain Old Song's visitors, but alas, the crowds have thinned into a little more than a trickle. The chill wind from Rimgran's temple is driving people away. Now I sing, but no one listens. My music is without purpose. But I know of a solution, a way for me to make my songs warm and passionate, countering Rimgran's chill. All I need is a few red songbirds. I could eat them and absorb their musical energy. With that kind of musical prowess in my soul, I could sing a song that could bring back to the merry crowds. You want to eat songbirds? I don't think it works that way. Eating the muscles of an animal makes you stronger, right? And if you consume green stalks, do you not take on their pungent smell, even down to the water you pass? Just as one cannot sweat if it is parched, I cannot sing without a nourished soul. It's all very basic. Did your parents teach you nothing of the food dropping cycle? Spare me your reasoning, I'll help. For my song to be pitch perfect, I'm gonna need Tiam, a bird often found throughout Twin Elms, often in high tree nests. Some have been domesticated. I also need a shardwing. They prefer to nest in Adra formation, suits their natural camouflage the best. Oh, most importantly, if I plan on hitting those side notes, I'll need a cloud singer. They can only be found on the highest mountain peaks. Many thanks, Estremol. Bring me those birds and I'll sing like Helia herself. He's gonna eat birds? That seems real weird. Channel enemies' thoughts and thus command their minds. Do you understand? No. Ah, looks like a chanter. Not a chanter. Cypher. Can't pretend to a mind hunter. Yep. Are you... Oh, that's a boat. This is a dwelling. Okay. And that takes us to Burial Island? I guess? Didn't actually want to go there right now. But on the other hand, it's good to know how to get there. I guess. Court of the Penitents. Okay. Cool. Yep. That's how you get to Burial Island. Hopefully, now we've done that, we can just travel on the overworld map. And not have to go to a specific point and get on a specific boat and do boat things to get there. Alright. And go this way. Wow. Again, this is a cheerful place.
I hope our duties won't require us to linger too long.
Okay. So all of this is in Twin Elms, then. Because this is like the cold place, with the cold stuff. Pretty sure. Interesting. Interesting. Into the White Void. I found Noonfrost, Drimgrad's temple in Oldsong. The frost-hewn breach must be here. When I find it, I can use the shard from the vision to close it, according to Rimmergrand's wishes.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll start looking through here. Oh, hi. I wanted to sneak, but... The pale elf searches you with ice-blue eyes. She shifts and knits her fingers together. Welcome to Noonfrost. Most of the temple is currently closed for sacred ceremonies to Rimmergrand. She forces a smile and waves you to the eastern doorway. The shrine is to your right. You are welcome to make your offerings to Rimmergrand there, but the rest of the temple is off limits. I'm looking for the frost-hewn breach. Veskel, the bear's flush rises in her pale cheeks. As I said, only the shrine in the eastern wing is open. The rest of the temple is closed right now. I suggest you make your devotions and leave. Her cheeks flush, Watcher. Perhaps you misinterpreted what you meant by frost-hewn breach. If that's all, why is most of the temple closed? As I said, we're in the middle of sacred ceremonies. They're rather complex, so we don't permit outsiders to witness them. Others of my clan get rather touchy about them, which is why you should visit the shrine and take your leave. What are you doing here? My clan journeyed from the White that wends to pay homage to Rimmergrand here at Noonfrost. We learned that this place had been abandoned for several years, and felt it our duty to tend to one of our god's oldest temples. It has been a long journey, but Rimmergrand demands endurance. No doubt he will reward us for ours. I hope it is. Tell me about Rimmergrand. He is the god of cold, entropy, and collapse. Many see him as a harsh god, but few realize that he also gives his life in his own way. All things wind to a merciful end in his shadow, only to feed creation elsewhere. But he is a silent god, and his ways are mysterious. To follow him is to accept inevitability without explanations. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Nice and quiet.
Vanquisher, Veskel. So here is where we need to go. This way, rather. Yep, frozen solid. So, yeah, interesting. Hold, Wanderer. Venturing beyond all doors is forbidden. Do not trespass against our will.
I'll stay out of sight.
Okay.
Just say the word.
How's this gonna work?
Just say the word. Let's see what's in here. As promised.
A blue crystal key. Interesting.
Need something?
I'm on it.
No father. Gotcha. Turn back and do not cross any doors. The halls beyond belong to Rimmergrand and his faithful. Okay. Righto. I guess that's going to be this way, ultimately. But I'm going to do that tomorrow. Until then, bye.